All right. So let's get back. So I put together a list of 6 things on my list that I think like mentally strong and successful people incorporate into their daily life. And I've had 5 of these things I've kind of had going on. The 6th one is nothing that I've been dealing with for quite some time, but I think it's a part of the formula, so I'm going to list it anyway. So the first thing is so 6 things mentally strong and successful people do. Number 1 is they move on, right? So they don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves, or, they don't make themselves a victim and stay in the state of feeling sorry for themselves and I'm a victim, or stay in a state of anger. They don't stay in the state of an anger. They process those emotions because they're negative. They can be negative and they can be damaging. They can bring you down and affect your life in a negative way. So you process them. And I ended up I think I ended up with both those emotions in the last 3 weeks. I ended up feeling sorry for myself, and I ended up being really super angry at someone. And so I had to deal with that. I had to really deal with those emotions. So, and so I moved on. So I just, I stayed angry for a couple of days. It wasn't working for me, and I knew I had to process it and work through it. And I needed to move on, and I did. And I think it's really important that we do that we don't stay in those negative states. Look, we're human. We're going to get pissed off. We're going to feel sorry for ourselves sometimes. We're going to deal with negative emotions. We just can't let ourselves stay there for too long. Sometimes it feels good to stay there for a couple of days and wallow in it. I don't know why, but sometimes it just does. Like, it feels really good to be fucking pissed off, right? Or feel sorry for yourself, and then it just starts feeling really bad and heavy. So move on, process those emotions, and move on. Forgive those that you're angry at. Second thing is you embrace change. And I was just talking about that. And I don't embrace change that well. So I think that's going to be at the top of my list that I'm always going to have to be aware of and be conscious of and be really super proactive. Like, that doesn't come easy for me, right? So, to welcome change and to see change, even if it's a challenge, to kind of reframe that and see it as an opportunity. So embrace change. Number 3. So I'm pretty good at this. They pursue happiness, right? Mm-hmm. They do. So, you don't stay in a state of anger too long. We don't waste energy on things that we control. And we would rather be happy than be right. My younger self, I would rather be right than happy. And I would argue a point. I come from a big Irish family. We would like to argue and debate, loud family. And that used to be me. And now, I'd much, much, much rather be happy than be right. I don't need to be right. But I desperately want to be happy. So they pursue happiness. Number 4, no matter what's going on in your life, you stay kind, you stay fair, and you're unafraid to speak up. And what I mean by unafraid to speak up, if someone's crossing your boundaries, we all have personal boundaries we set like that. We don't want people crossing. If someone's starting to cross your boundary on the way they speak to you or the way they approach you, the way they're treating you, you have to speak up and redefine that boundary, or that relationship can start getting out of hand. And the other part of that is, don't be afraid to speak up if you're feeling sad or you're feeling depressed or you're dealing with something heavy, right? Because that can be really hard to carry alone. you know, and when you're trying to hide it from everybody and you're carrying that alone, it gets really, really, really heavy. And sometimes it's embarrassing, like to tell people you're sad or you're depressed or you're dealing with some fucked up shit. But hopefully everybody has people around them, or at least one that, you know, they trust, that they can talk about that stuff with, because I think it's important. Number 5, you're willing to take calculated risks. Yes, I think that's really important. It's number 5. If you don't, now I don't mean crazy risks. You don't mean crazy risks where, you know, you got a lot on the line. Like if you misfired, I mean, you're losing like money you can't afford to lose, or, I mean, there's just too much on the line. But calculated risks. If you're not taking calculated risks, then you're not going to move forward. If you're building your own brand, building your own business, then you know what I'm talking about. You've got to take calculated risks to move your brand, move your business forward. And that applies to our personal life too, calculated risks. And then number 6, mentally strong and successful people, they always, always, always celebrate other people's success. They don't resent other people's success, and they certainly don't feel like it can fuck up their own. And I know a lot of people out there, you know, feel that way. I mean, maybe they don't want to feel that way, but they start feeling insecure. They feel like, you know, if someone is in your own city and they're really good, you know, at tattooing eyebrows, well, then that could decrease your business. You know, people could start choosing her over you, or that person over you. You see people launching products or launching online classes, and, you know, when you're in that arena of products and classes, you can start feeling insecure, and that's going to, you know, fuck up your own success. And that's just a big myth. And I think the minute you realize that, the minute you're able to really truly celebrate other people's success, and you really truly, like, deep in your bones, you really understand, you know that somebody else's success will never fuck up your own. It has nothing to do with you or your own success. It can never touch it. It just can't. The minute you learn that, there's this freedom. There's just this level of freedom that comes with that, and happiness that comes with that. Because imagine all the insecurity, fear, angst that just like falls to the wayside the minute you realize nobody else's success can ever like stunt your own or stop your own from growing or reaching like great heights. Once you get that, I mean, that's powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, and so that's something that I was able to understand and achieve and come to know and feel a long time ago, you know. And if I didn't, I think I would be like super miserable. I just think people that fear other people's success and resent others. I mean, just imagine. I can't even imagine feeling that on the inside, right? Especially in an industry like ours that is so like highly competitive. I couldn't even imagine like carrying that around. That's a big heavy burden to carry. So, yeah. So those are the 6 things that I put on my list for this week. Usually I give a quote, but I wanted to list that because those are some things that that I wanted to mention to our listeners and viewers this week on the podcast. All right. So, look, if you are audio streaming us, then you're either on Spotify, Buzzsprout, iTunes, or Podcast Addict. We thank you for streaming us. I think we hit, 7,000? Did I see you say 7,000 downloads or something like that? on audio streaming. That's awesome. If you are following us on YouTube, Tatter-a-fact YouTube, thank you for that. Please like and follow our Tatter-a-fact YouTube page. I ask you guys every week, and we're not really growing. So come on, please. Just head over to YouTube. It'll take you 5 seconds. Find the Tatter-a-fact podcast YouTube page and just give us a like and a follow. We'd appreciate that. And so, look, thank you for joining me, Willow and Olivia, today. Stay in the pursuit of happiness, everybody. We will see you next time.